Welcome to part 3 of my brutally honest cruise insights. This episode's going to be called Your Expectations Need to Be Rooted in Reality. Now, again, this series is not for the faint of heart or for people who get offended easily. If you're a clutch of pearls or deep gasp kind of lady or guy, you're going to want to keep scrolling because, honey, I'm going to tell you what you need to hear, not necessarily what you want to hear. And a lot of you are not rooting your expectations in reality. I don't know what you're rooting them in, but it's not anything that's real on this planet. And I'm going to need you to come back down to earth. I really am. Number 1, you get what you pay for. Honey, if I had $1 for every time somebody thought they were going to get a Ritz-Carlton experience from a $500 per person cruise, I would be a millionaire. Okay, maybe not, but I would have the down payment for a nice house, that's for sure. Because for some reason, so many of you are booking these ultra cheap cruises expecting that you're going to get the 5-star experience. You're not. You're not. Now, while a lot of you are a part of like casino programs where you're gambling like very large sums of money and are getting your rooms comped, I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about someone like Dan or Susie Iverson from Sandusky, Ohio, who think that because they spent $450 per person for their Caribbean cruise, are somehow going to get something as luxurious as the Waldorf Astoria. Honey, it's not going to happen. As much as I love cruising, and you absolutely know that I do, by and large, it is an industry that you get exactly what you pay for. Now, I'm certainly not saying that the cheaper cabins aren't nice. I like them. I don't mind a cheaper cabin. But I'm also not expecting fruit baskets and for people to lay rose petals on my sheets before I go to bed. And before you get your feelings all hurt, I'm not saying that I don't think you're not worth $1 million. I'm just saying that your experience isn't if you didn't pay that much. Dig? Number 2, cruise lines are not responsible for you or your family members' mental health struggles. This one's going to be a touchy one. I know it. Now, I'm definitely not going to hold your hand when I tell you this, because this is a brutally honest series. But a lot of you are booking vacations when you really should be booking time with a qualified therapist or psychologist. You are expecting a cruise to make your life magical and happy. And while cruises are great places to relax and de-stress and spend quality time with friends and family, it is not a substitute for mental health treatment that you or family members might need. Quite frequently, I have people come and tell me that they're overworked, they're tired, their marriage is terrible, their kids are awful, and they spent $4,000 on this vacation only to feel awful after it was over. Cruises are not Zoloft, Prozac, or Paxil. Now, I want to be clear, I am in no way, shape, or form minimizing mental health struggles. In fact, no, I'm doing the opposite. I'm flat out telling you, cruise lines are not responsible for your happiness. You are. Because the truth is, if you're in a bad place or someone that you love is in a bad place, a cruise isn't going to magically fix that. And honestly, I think it's wild that so many of you have that expectation. I mean, don't get me wrong. Yes, cruises can offer a beautiful and temporary reprieve from whatever it is that you are going through at home. But they can't fix the fact that your dad abandoned you as a kid, that your mom was a malignant narcissist, or that your brother Dave is the family favorite and always will be. And if you're finding yourself or somebody else struggling, please spend that money on a qualified therapist or psychologist. Don't think that a couple of goes on the water slide and a day on the flow rider is suddenly magically going to fix it all, because I'm going to tell you, it's not. Number 3, a cruise is not going to feel as comfortable as your home because it's not your home. That means the bed may feel different. The environment may be louder. The food may taste different. That's because you're not at home. And while that definitely appeals to a lot of us, that's why we like going on a cruise, because it is a change of scenery. For a lot of you, you spend most of your time like Dorothy in The Wizard of Oz screaming, "There's no place like home. There's no place like home." I have found that a lot of people who dislike cruising because they like things meticulously the same day in and day out. And these people struggle very, very much when they often get on a cruise. And that's because a cruise is not your house. Things are going to be different. And while when you're at home, it's your house and your rules, when you're on a cruise, it's their house and their rules. Understand? Which brings me to number 4. If you don't follow the rules on a cruise line, bad things are going to happen. Honey, I know that you're unique and I know that you are special. We all are. But you are not so special that you don't have to adhere to the rules and standards of the cruise line that you are sailing on. If you break the rules when you are on a cruise, bad things are gonna happen. And while the cruise lines are pretty kind and generous and will overlook maybe a tiny rule that you broke, such as your luggage was 55 pounds instead of 50 pounds, or your boarding time was noon instead of 11 when you showed up, they're not gonna overlook your lack of proper documentation, the booze or illegal substances you tried to smuggle on, or you're getting caught smoking on your balcony or in your cabin. As annoying as some of those rules are, they are often necessary for your safety, or the result of maritime law. Acting angry or shocked at the cruise line when they kick you off for breaking a major rule is embarrassing and honestly the result of some really out of touch expectations. And while I'm sure there might be rare and extreme circumstances where an exception could or should be made, most of you do not meet that criteria. Most of you just want to do what you want to do, and you don't want to have any consequences for that. And I'm sorry, but that's just not the way that it is. Their ships, their rules. And last but certainly not least, number 5. Yes, you paid for your vacation, but so did everybody else. I mentioned earlier that I think you're special. I think we all are. But you are not so special that everyone should get out of your way and do everything that you want, or that your needs or wants are more important than everybody else's. It blows my mind when people voluntarily take cruises on ships that often have 2, 3, 4, 5, 6,000 passengers and yet expect to be treated like they're the only one. Want to hurry up and get on the ship? So does everyone else. Want to have the best seats in the house? So does everyone else. Hungry and ready for a good meal? So is everyone else. Are you seeing a pattern here? And while you alone paid for your vacation, all of the other people you're vacationing with paid for theirs. And just like you, they want to have a wonderful time as well. And the amount of people who only think of themselves and their own experiences walking around sometimes makes things more difficult than it has to be. If you're in the middle of a theater and it's dark and it's quiet, don't answer your phone. And more importantly, don't be shocked when somebody tells you off because you did. Your spending money for your vacation does not give you the right to be rude or disrespectful to other people. I'm certainly not saying that you're less than anybody. I'm simply saying that you're not more. Expect that other people are going to want to enjoy their vacations too, and that basic general courtesy is necessary for all of us to get along. Act like a jerk and expect it to be treated like a jerk. Expect that other people have needs and expectations too, and you'll be just fine.